Hey everyone, it's Mizari and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to take these boots and turn them into these boots. So I am making Lucy from Cyberpunk Edgerunners boots today. This tutorial will be quite easy to follow, there's not many materials required and all you need is a little bit of patience. So to start with, you're just going to want to take any pair of knee-high boots that you are willing to cut up and not destroy, but transform, if you will. I got these ones off AliExpress, they were pretty inexpensive and they do the job that I need them to. So pop your boots on and get a pair of scissors, and just any type of masking or washi tape will be fine. You just need something that's going to be easy to see. I just took out a picture of Lucy for reference, and I just began roughly sticking the shape of where my knee was and that sort of weird angular shape that she has where the knee is exposed. I just very roughly was just placing the tape, and just it's all about feeling where your body is in comparison to the picture. Obviously not everyone is going to have the same measurements and just positioning of this tape in general, but don't worry too much about it. You just want to know where you want it to be. We are going to fix it up later. I spent like a solid 10 minutes changing this placement after, so don't panic. So once you've applied the tape to one boot, I recommend waiting before you do the other until you've had the chance to adjust and position the tape on the first boot, because this will also give you your sort of measurements and placements as a reference for the second boot, so you won't have to double handle the process. So all I'm doing now is I'm just moving the tape, I'm looking at a reference picture of Lucy's boot, and I'm just moving what doesn't look right, getting the shape down. Just go until you think that you've got everything fairly even. Once you think everything is looking right, that's when I take out my tape measure and I just start measuring the distance between these tape pieces. I also measure the length of them, the width, and I just take those and I try to replicate this placement onto the other boot. It's really easy when you have one boot perfectly done. You can actually just replicate it onto the other one without having to go back and put it on your leg and then see what's working. You can just take these measurements and use this boot as your reference. You'll also notice here that I am using that center seam of the boot and I am making sure that the tape is even on either side. I don't want to cut more off of the left side and not enough off the right side, because I just think that would look a little bit messy in my opinion, and I'm very picky about the way I do things. But honestly, don't stress if it doesn't bother you too much, just go with the flow. There is no right or wrong answer to any of this. Once you're happy with the positioning of the tape on both of the shoes, just use those tape lines as a guide and carefully cut out those shapes. I thought I recorded the process of me cutting, but I'm not sure where the footage is gone. I literally can't find it anywhere, so I apologize for that, but literally all I have done is just cut out those lines that we created. Now that you've made all the necessary cuts, you're going to want to try the boots on. You'll likely notice that as soon as you start walking or moving, the boots slip down. This is obviously not ideal, but don't worry, we are going to fix this. This can easily be resolved by simply tightening the attachment at the back of the knee. To do this, you're going to try your boots on again and take a seat. Grab a pair of scissors and be prepared to make a cut. Pull the boots so that the knee hole is sitting properly over your knee and locate the back seam on the back of the boot. Cut the seam in half as straight as you can. Straighten your leg and again pull the boot up so that it is sitting properly over your knee. I apologize for the poor camera angle, it's a bit hard to see what I'm doing here, but all I am doing is pulling one edge over the other. This is in preparation for a Velcro attachment, so you just want to see how much overlap there is. Grab a texter out because we are going to mark the overlap. With your texter, mark the line where the top piece hangs over the bottom piece. So pull it tight to make sure it's going to stay firm and secure on your leg. Pull it as far as you need to, but don't make it too tight so that you can't move. This is probably a better angle for you to see what I'm doing. All I'm doing is overlapping the two pieces and marking where the overlap stops. You want to now locate the line that we just drew and see how it looks when it overlaps without your leg involved. You're going to want to measure and cut a piece of Velcro that is from the line we just drew with the texter until the raw edge of the fabric. If you're in a bit of a pickle and you don't have a lot of Velcro, you can use a smaller amount, but I find that the longer pieces make for a better connection because they are just stronger, and the more Velcro, the more reinforced it will be. So my Velcro here wasn't quite wide enough with one piece to cover the entire connection, so I just cut a second piece the exact same size and put it underneath the first. Peel the sticky back off of the Velcro and then just press it gently onto the fabric. I personally used the fluffier receiving end of the Velcro as the attachment that would be underneath, and I used the rougher part of the Velcro that initiates the attachment as the top part, so the part that actually overlaps over the bottom part. It doesn't matter too much, it's all personal preference, but I find this is what works best for me. If you are attaching the Velcro in the same fashion I am, it's important that the receiving end is stuck to the right side of the boot, so the right side of the fabric, and then the attachment end, so the rougher part, is on the wrong side of the fabric. If you put them both on the right side or both on the wrong side, once you wrap that around your leg, there's not going to be any connection because they're just going to be next to each other in the end rather than on top of each other, so just be careful of that. So here I'm just repeating the same process I did with the fluffier side, where I am now sticking the attachment end to the rougher side of the Velcro onto the wrong side of the fabric, and that's why I was pointing so adamantly at it and demonstrating how it would join together. So yeah, just before you stick those ones down, just double check that you've got them in the right order so that you won't have more work later on. Because there's obviously no drawn line on this side of the fabric, you're just going to want to measure how long your last pieces turned out, and then you're just going to want to cut the pieces that you're doing now in that same length. Once you've finished attaching the Velcro, try the boots on with the Velcro. It might take a moment to get the Velcro to line up properly when you're on your own, so if you have someone who can help you, it can be a good idea. Otherwise, you might want to look in a mirror while you do it. Overall, the boots are looking pretty good now. They do slip a little bit once we go for some more vigorous activity, but once you're wearing your grey sort of stocking leg sock things underneath, there will be more grip as the fabrics will grip to one another, and it shouldn't be too much of an issue. If you are concerned and you're going to be doing a lot of crazy movement in the costume, you can always try adding some elastic at the top rim there. It'll have to be very thin though so that it is invisible, or you can just get some black elastic. Since I am not going to be sprinting or running a marathon or jumping high jump in this costume, I decided this was good enough. Now we are going to take some red bias binding to create the details on the boots. I didn't really have a pattern for this. My method was just looking at various reference images of both the anime version of Lucy's boots and just some cosplay stores that were selling the boots, and then I decided to map it out as best I could in terms of the size. It's not really any logic apart from just your own judgment, so just do what you think looks best. One advice I can give is just don't use hot glue for this. It's much better to use fabric glue. I started off using hot glue but soon found that pleather doesn't really like to stick to anything that you attach to it using hot glue. It's just not a good bond. It comes off in like 2 seconds. To achieve the red line on the front of the shoe, I just brought the bias binding up to the edge and run it from one side to the other, seeing how long it was, cutting that and then trimming it in half and then just gluing it carefully around the front. It's a little bit hard to notice, but there is a sort of black like a wedge, a bit of a strip that runs across the top of the shoe, and it just separates that red line we just made around the edge. So to achieve this, I just grabbed a piece of the scrap fabric from earlier when we cut the shoe in the first place and just held it over the front of the shoe where I wanted it to sit, and then just trimmed off the excess that was too long, anything that hung over the edge of the shoe, and then I just cut the strip. I think it ended up being about 5 centimeters wide, but just do it however wide you want to and in proportion to your shoe. Then you're just going to fabric glue that strip down. And there you have it, your boots are all done and you're ready for a trip to the moon. I hope you guys found this tutorial helpful. If you do have any questions, please do comment below and I'll try to get back to you guys as soon as possible. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye!